Hello, this is Neville with our 25th guided tour through the New Testament. We're looking at Matthew chapter 22 today. A possible title could be Do Not Argue with the Word. This is Jesus Christ, and He knows everything, and yet we see three different kinds of people coming across His path, trying to argue with Him. Some of the possible PowerPoint titles are in front of you. We're looking at a map that shows Jesus' ministry. Is the closing ministry of Jerusalem, and there's 7 points on this map. The English Standard Version then, chapter 22. And again Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king, who gave a wedding feast for his son, and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Again he sent other servants, saying, Tell those who are invited, See, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the feast. But they paid no attention and went off, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his servants, threatened them shamefully, and killed them. The king was angry, and he sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, The wedding feast is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find. This shows us that the concept of Jesus only inviting a certain group of people is not correct. He invites everyone. Verse 10, And those servants went out into the roads and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to look at the guests, he saw there a man who had no wedding garment. This reminds me of John chapter 10, where Jesus is the shepherd and the door, and there's some people who want to come in by some strange way, climbing over or under the fence, instead of coming through Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. And Jesus, who says, unless we're born again of the water and the Spirit, we cannot enter into or see the kingdom. That is John chapter 3, verses 3 through 5. Verse 12, And he said to him, Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, Bind him hand and foot, and cast him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. And that is the basic concept of what is going to happen. Now we find three categories of people arguing with Jesus. Then the Pharisees went out and plotted how to entangle him in his words. And they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of God truthfully, and you do not care about anyone's opinion, for you are not swayed by appearances. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, Why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin for the tax. And they brought him a denarius. And Jesus said to them, Whose likeness is and inscription is this? Then they said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, Therefore render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. When they heard it, they marveled, and they left him and went away. So the Pharisees tried to trick Jesus, and they can't. Now it's the Sadducees' turn, those who do not believe in the resurrection. Then the same day Sadducees came to him, who say there is no resurrection, and they asked him a question, saying, Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies having no children, his brother must marry the widow and raise up the children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers among us. The first married and died, having no children, left his wife to his brother. So to the second, the third, down to the 7th. After them all the woman died. In the resurrection, therefore, of the 7, whose wife will she be? For they all had her, but Jesus answered them, You are wrong, because you know neither the Scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. And as for the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was said to you by God? I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And when the crowd heard it, they were astonished at his teaching. But when the Pharisees, now it's the Pharisees' turn again, but when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. And one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment, and a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. Now while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them a question, saying, What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he? They said to him, The son of David. He said to them, How is it then that David in the Spirit calls him Lord, saying, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet? And the quote here is from Psalm 110, verse 1. Verse 45. Then David calls him Lord. How is he his son? And no one was able to answer him a word. Nor from that day did anyone dare to ask him any more questions. So here's the principle. Jesus invites everybody who will listen. Some don't. In fact, they kill those who would do this invitation, like the evangelists of today. But then 3 times they try to trick Jesus, and each time not only do they not succeed, but Jesus turns the trick back onto them. And so the message is clear. Either Jesus is going to be everything to us, or we're going to be nothing to him. Many years ago, a lady by the name of Frances wrote a beautiful song entitled Take My Life and Let It Be. This lady took everything she had. She had a voice of a concert singer, but sang only for God, not for profit. So she says, take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. Take my voice and let me sing always only for my King. And then she also took her silver and her gold, and she gathered 50 pieces of silver jewelry together, sold it, and sent it off so that a mission point could be established in a foreign field. Yes, she says, Take my lips and let them be filled with messages for thee. Take my silver and my gold, not a mite will I withhold. So here's the question that I have to ask you today. Are you going to try to argue with Jesus, or are you simply going to say to Jesus, Take my life and let it be? May God bless you as you decide to walk this walk.